I'm Matt Widener. I've been practicing law for more than 25 years, and the whole point of these videos and these channels is to demystify and democratize the practice of law. I spend a lot of time talking about probate and estate because everyone's heading there one way or the other. Now, you can avoid probate and estate stuff, never have to pay an attorney any money if you do some simple estate planning. And one of the things that I really wish people understood was just how much of their dirty laundry, how much of their confidential information will be out there in a probate, particularly if you're not thinking things through and doing it at the front end. And when I thought about doing this, I wanted to expose people and alert them to what the docket is. And I guarantee you the vast majority of people would just be completely blown away if they knew how much information was out there in any given case and what kind of details become part of the public when you do a probate. So what I thought I would do is just kind of pick a random name, and of course one here locally, everybody knows the Hulkster. And I said, well, let's see, we know the Hulkster died, and just as sort of an educational example, let's go onto the docket and see what the Hulkster's probate case looks like as a way to educate people about what happens. So what I'm going to do is show you, you're looking at right now, here's the docket. You see that someone dies, and the first thing that happens is you have this petition to appoint curator. And all these documents are just interesting, and I thought it would just be kind of plain vanilla. But I forgot about the sexy thing in here in Hulk Hogan, and that is this, quote, sex video, right? So this already kind of heats things up a little bit. And in this death, one of the things that they're saying here is that we need the court to step in, and we need the court to be part of this process of protecting the estate and the kids from this federal district court case that's out there pending. So I thought that was interesting. They rush to court and they say, "Woo, we want that quickly." Another fascinating thing that happens, all right, temporary injunction. We're saying, hey, judge, the Hulkster, he's dead, but what are we trying to enjoin here? But in this verified complaint, oh, I got it. So you remember he was fighting with Bubba the Love Sponge. We're looking at this together on here, but yeah, it's fun. Let me reduce down the size of that screen just a wee bit. All right. Again, back to this sex tape. The estate and Terry McCoy, Hulkster, is suing Bubba about this sex tape. And so even after he's dead, they're having to come into probate court and alert the court to this pending federal case, and they want the judge to order that Bubba the Love Sponge aren't allowed to reach this sex tape. I can't believe that thing's still out there and we're still talking about it. I don't know who in the hell would want to see the Hulkster doing anything, much less that stuff in a sex tape. But in any event, that's the petition for temporary injunction. The next thing that I thought was really interesting is, all right, so we got this will. And again, famous dude with the will filed here for all the world to see. One thing that I thought was interesting is here's a guy that's obviously got millions of dollars, high profile dude. What we are used to seeing is watermarks of whatever attorney prepared this will, either on the front page or the last page. It's kind of one of the first things we look at if we're thinking about challenging a will or anything like that, but that isn't on there. All right, so, but we know who prepared this thing. We see the date that it was prepared. He appoints the daughter as personal representative if the spouse isn't able to. And then the next thing that happens here is, and again, look, for a guy with lots and lots of money, it's pretty short, pretty simple. He leaves it to his spouse and children, equal or unequal shares if they are able to agree. If that ain't crazy, is that really what that says? See, this is interesting. Did he really say in the will that he leaves it to my spouse Jennifer and my children to be divided between them in such equal or unequal shares as they shall agree? If they're unable to agree in approximate equal shares, I'm reading this for the first time, and it just sounds crazy to me that somebody would prepare this for the Hulk and think that between the ex-wife or the wife that ain't the mother of these two children, I don't think, And then the two kids that all of them are going to get together and agree on everything. Man, I would never leave that to chance. Um, and then there's a trust, so presumably maybe all the big stuff is located in this trust that was done in 1998. But that provision up there is just interesting. Why would you say that that if they should agree? I guess your hope springs eternal that everybody agrees. And then he dumps everything into a trust. Presumably, when that trust was done in 1998, that's where the majority of the assets are. But just the fascinating thing about this will is it is a mere, and all this is the same language that anybody else is going to get, done in 2016. So all the way back in 2016, this gets done. Names the wife and kids. Is that around the time when they were doing that TV program? Let's see what the codicil says. So then along comes a codicil, and this is an amendment to it. And what happens here? Co-personal. Ooh, that's a bad word right there. Co-personal representatives. I would never do that. Putting two people together to make something. The ones that I've seen cost a lot of money is where they're co-personal representatives and they can't agree, and then you end up spending a bunch of money. So this one says Jennifer is co-personal representative with Terry McCoy, and then the daughter Brooke or Nick shall serve in their place. Finally, we got an attorney. Oof. It's just going to be one or the other. I can see this thing fighting, and I think they are fighting. But and this is all the intellectual property and stuff like that where there's real value there. But the fascinating thing about this is here's a dude that is obviously got money. It's going to get complex even back in 2016. And already I'm looking at things going, yeah, I could see where that's going to wind up being a litigation. But just like any other normal person, we got a couple people witnessing on this thing. Maybe they work in a law firm or maybe they don't, but their names are all there. And Gassman, he's signing off on that right there. And is this yet another codicil? A second codicil. This goes in 2017. And now it references some other trust out there. Again, and this is part of the reason why I don't like trust, right? So people get these trusts done and they think, it's all going to be secret. Nobody's going to know anything about it. Very hard to hide this stuff in particular. But there's the trust that presumably has some of the significant assets. Ooh, a third one. So this keeps getting, and these are all in rapid succession, which is interesting. You start doing rapid succession codicils and amendments like that, you start thinking, geez, why don't we rip the whole thing out and start all over again? But this one has it going into a trust. But the thing that I think is interesting right from the front end here is just how much personal information that you're looking at here. Oh, wait a minute. And here comes another will. Let's look and see if this is a later one. I think this is the same one, 2017 or whatever. But just look at how intrusive this is, that just any old member of the public is able to get in here, look at all these documents, and here's the notice of trust. There's some trust in there. And this sets up the potential for lots of conflict. So when we talk about conflict in the states, and I want you to understand the public docket and the ability of the public to look in and understand what your financial affairs are. Again, just one that I pulled off just completely at random, but it's an illustrative example of what happens in the docket. And the lesson for anybody else out there, if you've got questions about mom, dad, grandmom, not even the Hulkster, but a relative, did granddad leave you anything in the will? If there's another relative, you have the ability as a citizen to log on to the county database and have a look and get some of the information that I just shared with you there about that very famous one. So the public service here is this: when you have questions about estates, whether you're a beneficiary, long lost relative, long lost spouse, you have the ability to log right on there and grab this stuff. If you have more questions or want some more input on how to do this for yourself, leave a comment in here. I'll be happy to respond back and give you that information, help you in the searching and the receipt of public records on these topics.